Welcome to a resume tutorial made for you by the Career Center and the Writing Center. My name is Dr. Luke Morgan, and I'm the Associate Director of the Writing Center. I'm lucky enough to work closely with our Career Center staff and students as they create resumes, cover letters, and other job documents. In the next few minutes, you'll get to meet experts in resume writing from across Metro State, including staff from our Career Center and Writing Center. Our goal is to provide clear, actionable advice for writing and revising your resume and to set you up for a successful job search. At the end of our video, you'll hear about other resources that can help you craft an effective resume and ways to connect with our centers. Let's get started. Resumes are one of my favorite genres to work with in our Writing Center. They can be a window into who writers are, where they want to go, and what drives them. And I'm not alone. Employers want this window into who you are too. A good resume does more than just list your credentials. It helps your future employer picture you as a part of their organization. To make a resume that communicates your fit for a position, follow a few important principles. First, quality over quantity. Include only relevant info, don't feel pressure to add more than is needed, and help your reader prioritize information by clearly communicating what matters most through how you organize sections and write content. Second, adjust for the job. We encourage students to keep an archive copy of their resume with everything you think you may want to communicate to your future employers, but the copy you use to apply should be adjusted to the exact position you're applying to. Be willing to make changes for every job. This demonstrates you understand the role and shows that you're a good fit. So, a quick side note on templates. For this reason, and also because the free templates that you see are not always free, we encourage applicants to avoid templates and design their own formatted resume in Microsoft Word. We can help you get started with this too. Third, know your audience. This last one is probably most important, but it takes a little extra work. There's a few ways you can get to know the potential audience for your resume. Understand the position and mirror language from the position description. For example, if a position lists workflow management as the most important duty in a job you're applying to, make sure that keyword is used in your resume to describe work you have done or are preparing to do. Research the organization to understand their key values, the kind of work they do, and their goals as a company. Again, mirror language and show how your professional identity fits into this organization. Know that resumes are read quickly, usually for only about 5 to 7 seconds. This can be daunting, but it simply means that the way you use keywords and organize your resume needs to help readers prioritize the most important information quickly. Use these key principles to guide how you make decisions while you write and revise your resume. In the next sections of this video, you'll hear from my talented colleagues about how to create a successful resume. Each section addresses a specific part of your resume with tips on how to make it clear, relevant, and effective. We'll cover headings, summary, education, experience and keywords, other sections, and resume resources at Metro. If you would like to skip ahead to any section, locate the timestamps below to advance forward.
Headings are one of the most important parts of any resume. It's the first thing that a potential employer sees sitting there at the top of the page. It will often include your name and contact info, and its style, or lack thereof, can convey a lot about you right off the bat. A clean heading is a critical part of making a positive first impression. In many cases, you don't need to include a physical address. You might provide it to a human resources department if they specifically request it, but it doesn't need to be at the top of your resume anymore. You probably don't want to include this information in any public space that you might post your resume, such as LinkedIn, so it's often best to simply avoid it. The most common contact information to include in headings is a combination of phone number and email address. Most people will include a cell phone number. Just be sure that you can answer the phone or get a voicemail at whatever number you provide. You don't want to miss a critical call and not be able to return it. Similarly, in lieu of handwritten letters and printed forms, the email address has become a vital part of a modern resume. Be sure to have an active, accessible email address listed. Another aspect that shouldn't be overlooked is the necessity for professionalism in your email address. It's generally better to have a clean-looking Gmail or educational institution address rather than a less professional address that you've used for a long time. If you plan to use your student email address, one thing to note is while some universities allow the use of their email systems after you graduate, many do not. So it's probably a good idea to move on to a Gmail or other permanent address and use that for most things. Just be sure to check it often.
The summary is a snapshot story of who you are and where you see yourself going professionally. Place this section directly under your heading. Use it to emphasize your qualifications from education, work, volunteer, and life experience that make you a good candidate. It can also be a spot to feature your goals for the search. What to name it? Summary is most common now. If it is more detailed, consider using profile or feature the title of the position you are seeking as a heading to show you're good fit for the job. No matter how you format it, brief phrases, bullet points, lists, or a combination, it should be about 30 to 70 words and take no more than a few seconds to scan and understand. How do you build a summary? Start big with lots of detail and then refine and polish down to those 70 words. Use these 5 questions to guide you. What is my purpose for this resume? What are my objectives for this search? Is the resume aimed at supporting a specific application, a general search, an internship, or getting a grant, for example? Objectives can be indicated using phrases such as seeking a position in, excited to join, interested in, looking forward to. What do I want to call myself? Try using the specific title of a job posting, a general title from the field, or your status as a college student or recent graduate to indicate that you see yourself as a member of the field. Consider adding descriptive adjectives like detail-oriented, creative, empathetic, or effective to this title. Recall how people have praised your work as a student, employee, or volunteer. What education and work experiences are relevant qualifications? Include trainings, licensures, and relevant coursework, as well as completed or anticipated degrees. What fields have you worked in already? Might they be relevant? Remember, relevant volunteer work experience may be as valuable as paid work in explaining your qualifications. What are my general, professional, and personal strengths? Skill sets, personal attributes, research interests, significant life experiences, hobbies, passion projects, or ways you contribute to your community or the world are just some of the categories to reflect upon here. Remember, your commitment to professional development for specific elements of the job or industry you are targeting is a strength. What do I want to highlight for this search? Of course, feature your most impressive and relevant qualities in a summary. But if there's something important that belongs in a section that needs to appear further down in the resume, mention or list it briefly. Then provide more detail about it in that section later.
The education section of the resume is pretty straightforward. Here's some things to keep in mind as you put yours together. We recommend that the education section comes after the summary. If you're a current student or a recent grad, you can put it there. Once you have a couple years of work experience or you're in a role that is related to your major and you're gaining good experience, then you can move the education section down after the experience section. We recommend that you emphasize your major more than the school. When the recruiters have only a short amount of time to look at your resume, you'll want to make sure that they can see what your major is. Recruiters will want to know when you're graduating. So if you haven't graduated yet, you can put your expected grad date or put your actual graduation date. If you'd like to include your GPA, here's a rule of thumb we recommend. If your GPA is higher than 3.5, include it. One thing we don't recommend you include is your high school diploma, or if you earned a GED, or if you started a program elsewhere and haven't completed it. The most important part of the education section, in my opinion, is where you're able to include experiences that fit with the job that you're going after. It's very important to show recruiters that you have applied experience in your field of interest. So for example, if you're a marketing student, you can include that you worked on market research project, or did a social media plan, or put together a launch plan. This approach enables you to demonstrate that you have the skills and experiences that recruiters are looking for, and you gain those right from your education.
Your employment section is where you showcase your past and current employment. This section should be written in reverse chronological order, meaning that your most recent job should be on the top and your least recent job on the bottom. It's typical to include your last 7 to 10 years of employment on your resume. This section should include your job title, the place you worked, the city and state where you were employed, and the time frame you were employed at the job. The order in which I just listed these items is the order they should appear on your resume. Remember, you're making a fast impression, so it's more important that your readers see that you were an assistant manager versus where you were an assistant manager. Under your job title and other necessary information, you typically only include 3 to 5 bullet points of the skills and tasks that you are doing at that job. These statements are called proof statements. These statements are not written in first person. Instead, they mirror sentence fragments. A proof statement is where you show or prove to the employer that you have the skills that they're looking for. You can list that you have good communication skills, or you can prove it by having the statement that says, effectively reports project progress to team members and administrators to foster high levels of continuity in communication and momentum towards project goals. If you were an employer, which candidate would you have more confidence in based on these statements? This sounds a bit hard. It is, but I have a trick for you. When you're writing a proof statement, you want to include a verb plus a task and an outcome. That's an equation to make a quality proof statement. Let's look at the example I used before. Effectively reports project progress to team members and administrators to foster high levels of continuity in communication and momentum towards project goals. Effectively is my verb. Reports project progress to team members and administrators is my task. And then my outcome is to foster high levels of continuity in communication and momentum towards project goals. I encourage you to consider, what information am I trying to communicate to my reader? Go from there when creating a proof statement. As a reminder, you cannot just list that you're a team player, that you have leadership skills, or that you're organized. Anyone can say those things. It's your job to prove it to your reader so that they can see that you have the skills that they're looking for. But how do you know what skills employers are looking for? That's easy. Look at the job description. The employer has told you what they're looking for underneath the qualifications and skills section. Some job postings are a bit sparse. Take some time and look at the employer's website or other similar job postings. This will help you gather up the types of skills that are needed or necessary in your industry. When you find those commonalities, you have found keywords. Keywords are important because they may be used in something called an applicant tracking system. The applicant tracking system reviews your application to make sure you have the right skill sets to do the job and pass your application on to the hiring manager. In order for you to get that chance, you need to make your way through that applicant tracking system, so those keywords are very important.
Congratulations, you're almost finished. Now we're at the part that I call other sections. These are optional, but can really help strengthen your resume. Other sections include things like technical skills, key for an aspiring computer science or IT professional. Professional associations. Professional associations are groups of people who share a common line of work or field. And joining a professional association, getting really involved in it, and then putting that on your resume is a fantastic addition. Leadership. There are lots of different ways to be a leader, including community engagement and campus life. Community service and volunteer activities, military experience, internships. Licensures and certifications. Do you have a work-related licensure or certification? Even if you are anticipating being licensed in the future, writing the anticipated date and any details will have a big impact. Honors, awards, special recognition. Project work, even things that aren't paid for projects for class and so on, are good additions. Languages. Most employers are looking for people who speak multiple languages. So if that's you, put it on your resume and let your language skills show. For the layout, things like community service, military experience, and internships can be described just like your work experience. And remember, more other sections are not necessarily better. But if you do have something that you think will help tell your story, by all means include it. Let's take a look at some examples.
Given all the information that we've covered and the many sections that your resume might include, know that it will always be a work in progress. You may continue to change or add to the content on your resume throughout your academic and professional journey. Resume writing can feel like a daunting and challenging task, so work through it one section at a time and remember that there are resources at Metro available to help you throughout the process. From brainstorming and formatting to tailoring your experiences to fit a specific job description to proofreading your final document, the staff of the Metro State Career Center and Writing Center are ready to help. Our services are available to both current students and Metro alumni regardless of when you graduated from school. Stop by our virtual resume drop-in on Zoom to chat with both a career counselor and a professional writing tutor about all things job search. For a more flexible schedule, you can also visit drop-in hours at Research and Writing Help on both Zoom and in person in the St. Paul Campus Library to meet with a writing tutor about your documents. You can also schedule a one-on-one meeting with a Career Center representative by reaching out directly to the Career Center's email address. Finally, there are a multitude of resume guides and field-specific resume examples on the Career Center and Writing Center websites that are designed to help you independently take the next step in reaching your goals. We at the Metro State Career Center and Writing Center wish you the best of luck in your job search journey, and we're so excited to help you in the process.